And we're back here again, live with you. It is, of course, the Black Channel, TBA After Hours. Joining me tonight are Asha, Steph, Kim, and the ladies are back here at the Black Channel here. And there's something I did want to discuss here tonight. I was going to wait until tomorrow night, but I decided that I didn't want to do that. I decided I wanted to go ahead and see about tackling that here tonight. So, ladies, welcome back to the Black Channel. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight.
Black first, Jason.
Black first.
Hello.
Yes, you're all on here. Now, for those of you who didn't know, if you weren't aware of this, and there's a reason why I have these women here on the line with me here tonight, because you definitely want to have an ensemble cast like this. In New York Magazine, they did an interview with Ray and Janae Rice. And as you all remember, that Ray Rice is the football player. There's a video of him getting into an altercation with his now wife, Janae Rice, in an elevator. She got hit, and so did his career. And so he's been trying to rehab both of those ever since. Now, in the article, they ask about some of these things, okay? And I'm going to read from the article itself. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read from the article here, and then me and the ladies are going to discuss what happened. So, from the New Yorker article here, I'm going down a few paragraphs where it says, when Ray and Janae spoke about their relationship, they did their best to present it as a happy one and getting happier. I'd seen them together at an event over Christmas, and they were joking and comfortable, kidding each other over who would wear an oversized Santa cap. But the picture that emerged in conversation was of a relationship that had always been full of challenges. Being in a relationship with a celebrity is hard, Janae said. Everything is about them. Ray had to have people around him. Janae would find herself telling him, "We don't need all these people at the house." Ray had given her a nickname. He called her Dreamkiller. Now, that phrase, that paragraph, jumped out at me like a roach on an ice cream cone. There was simply no mistaking that. That absolutely jumped out at me when I heard that. And I'm going to go on and read the rest of it here, but I wanted to speak on that in particular. When this man refers to you as Dreamkiller, those words mean something. Those words actually mean something. And I wondered how many people caught that. It says that Rice met Janae Palmer when she was 14 and he was 15. She lived in a town over in Mount Vernon and was a different kind of girl from the ones that Rice knew in the Hollow. His father had been murdered when he was 1. Her father, Joe, was a teamster who made a decent living. As the oldest child, Ray was assigned the role of the man of the house, taking jobs on top of schoolwork and football. His mother would draw him aside and say, "Ray, I need money." Now, you all remember that I said before that there were issues with their parents. You remember that I said that before? Remember when I told you before, especially about Ray? Remember I told you before that it was an issue that clearly with him tolerating that type of behavior, that comes from the mother. Remember I said that. Now you're hearing it. Now you're seeing that, yeah, we called it. We called it months ago from the very beginning. We called it. His mother would draw him aside and say, "Ray, I need money." Now, Janae's parents sent Janae to parochial school, where she was president of the student council. Man, talk about entitlement issues, huh? Starting early. When Ray got into football, he'd wake up at 5 a.m. to train, springing up and down the hollow stairs. When Janae was interested in fashion, her parents sent her to classes at FIT. And while Ray liked Janae from the moment he talked to her, he was attracted to her family too. I did come from a two-parent household, which I know drew him, Janae told me. He became one with my family. Ray took to calling Janae's father Dad. Let's hear it for the bastard baby makers out there. Let's hear it for you. Let's hear it for you getting pregnant by some dusty ass nigga who ain't never gonna go anywhere. Let's hear it for you. Let's hear it for you. Let's hear it for you. You're doing a bang up job. Bang up job. Great. This is why Jerry Sandusky was able to rape all these black boys, because these single mothers send their children off to these places and these tell, you don't need no daddy. I'm mama and daddy, you crazy whores. They're destroying these children. And they're destroying these men. 2 generations destroyed. We're talking about the teachers in Atlanta. When are we going to start talking about the single mother epidemic that's destroyed them? The story goes on to say Rice was dominant on the football field. When I didn't want to think about the situation I was in, he's talking about his home life, I had football, he said. We are raising young men and women, the boys and the girls. We are raising them in situations where they can't even frickin' think, because of the home environment they come from. And nobody wants to call them out for it. You ain't no queen and no goddess when you're doing this to children. You are victimizing and destroying children. I don't have any mercy or sympathy for somebody who does that. At the youth level, an opposing coach once refused to let his team play unless Rice was taken out of the game. And in high school, he'd lead New Rochelle to a state championship. But because of his size, he wasn't heavily recruited by college coaches. A few thought he'd make a good defensive back, but he chose Rutgers for the chance to play in the offensive backfield. They weren't going to take the ball out of my hands, Rice told me. They were one of the worst teams in the nation, but I said to myself, I see an opportunity. My goal when I was there was for people to say Ray Rice and Rutgers football in one sentence. They would. In 2006, he led Rutgers to its first bowl game victory. The next year, he'd break numerous school rushing records. Rice entered the NFL draft after his junior year and was selected by the Ravens in the second round. He was 21 and hadn't ever lived far from New Rochelle. I was scared to be alone, he recalled. He took a cousin with him to Baltimore, and he wanted Janae to come too, which surprised her. They'd been friends for years, but only romantic for a year or so. She hadn't thought they were that serious, but when he cried and asked her to move with him, she was thrilled. I knew I was the one then, she said. Do you all see the type of emotional wreck that he is, that he was, and that he is? And all these people around him sitting and lying in wait to take advantage of him because they can see what his mother did to him. They can see what his mother did to him. They can see it. He wanted to live with me, recalled Janae's mother, but her parents vetoed the idea of cohabitation. No, he wanted her to live with him, recalled Janae's mother, but her parents vetoed the idea of cohabitation. You need to concentrate on what you're about to get into, Joe Palmer told Ray. You don't want a person to sit around living off you. You want to have You want her to have her own life so you can be proud of her. Now, that's what her dad said to Ray. You don't want a person to sit around living off you. You want her to have her own life so you can be proud of her. But Janae had been accepted to Townsend University outside Baltimore, and her parents said it was all right to go. Everything fell into place, Janae said. In Baltimore, though, Rice's priorities were elsewhere. Football came before everything and everyone, he told me. Janae accepted that as necessary, but it was a sore point. It was definitely frustrating. It was hard knowing I wasn't his first priority, she said. It was hard not knowing that I wasn't his first priority. Now, knowing that we are black people in an oppressive society, and as a black male who's come from nothing, this man is making something of himself, but that doesn't concern her, because you see, she grew up with both of her parents, and as far as she's concerned, that middle-class lifestyle was enough. And she doesn't care because she's got her parents to fall back on. He doesn't have that, so he's trying to build something, and football is what's going to get him there. But she has made a decision that, no, if I'm not the most, you can be a celebrity, but I want to be Miss Important. Because she's got insecurity issues. And it got more challenging when she got pregnant and gave birth in 2012 to Raven, named after Ray and his team. So then she made sure to get pregnant quickly. She made sure to get pregnant fast. She wanted to make sure she did that. Now we can make sure he doesn't go anywhere. Raven didn't sleep well and, quote, I felt I was doing everything by myself, Janae said. After a while, I resented that. I felt like a walking zombie. I told Ray he needed to change more diapers. Now, let me read that last part to you all one more time here, okay? And I want you to count the number of times that you hear the word I in these sentences here. I felt I was doing everything myself. After a while, I resented that. I felt like a walking zombie. I told Ray he needed to change more diapers. In just 4 sentences, look how many times you run into I. Now, this is a man who's giving you a lifestyle unparalleled, and she's saying that you need to go out and do football, you need to go out and keep your career, and you need to come home and take care of the baby. Heifer, what in the world are you doing? Well, I just want to know that you're here doing this. You need to be doing more. I mean, this is literally what he's sitting with. So he's giving her the, just like her dad said, he's taking care of her. He's doing something that he never saw his own father do. Let me say that again, damn it. He's doing something that he never saw his own father do. Taking care of a female. Being the man of the house, being the breadwinner. And she's saying, I don't want a breadwinner. I want an emotional sponge that will sit here and cater to my outrageously bloated ego and my inferiority and insecurity complexes. And I don't care if I'm standing in the way of everything. These are her words, people, not mine. These are hers. The story goes on to say, instead, Rice found excuses to stay away. He overbooked charity events, often 3 back-to-back on his 1 day off each weekend. Afterward, quote, I get home, I'm spent, he recalled. There's no time to talk. I got practice the next day. He just head off to sleep. It got to the point where if she had an issue, I would basically just go silent, he told me. There wasn't a lot of yelling, screaming, or nothing. I would just wake up, go to practice. Then game day gets here. I'd rush for 3 touchdowns. The family's over at the house. She's still got that problem she's thinking about, and I think I scored 3 touchdowns today. Everything's all right. That's not what a man does, Janae would tell him. I know what a man is supposed to be. I know how a man acts in a relationship. I know what a father is. I experienced it. Later, she told me, I wasn't trying to be malicious, but it had to sting. My God, do you see the eyes in here? Do you see the eyes, people? Let me go back and read that to you one more time, because that's just one paragraph. She said, that's not what a man does. I know what a man is supposed to be. I know how a man acts in a relationship. I know what a father is. I experienced it. I wasn't trying to be malicious, but it had to sting. I wasn't trying to be malicious, but it had to sting. So what she's saying is that it had to sting. That's her taking matters in her own hands. I wasn't being malicious, but I was going to let him know. I know what a man is supposed to be. I know how a man acts in a relationship. I know what a father is. I know what a man's supposed to be. So Ray has to conform to her ideas of what a man is supposed to be. And isn't it amazing? Everything about that is supposed to be about his world revolving around her. So he's not a man unless his world revolves around her. It's not them doing like her mom and her dad did and working together and sacrificing time with each other so you can build a life so that you all don't have to struggle your whole life. She's like, hell, I'm doing fine like I am. Let's just struggle, but you need to be here with me. Valentine's Day 2004 marked the beginning of an off-season that Rice had been looking forward to for months. The 2013 season had been the worst of his career, and he played through a hip injury. Now, some of y'all are older out there. Do you know how bad a hip injury hurts? For those of you out there who got bad hips, do you know how bad a hip injury hurts? Do you know what it's like to have a hip injured? Do you know what it's like? Not only that, but to be running up and down the field with 300 and 400 pound linebackers trying to smash you, and you got a hurt hip? And do you have a loving woman at home who's going to make sure that the breadwinner is taken care of? No, and she's not concerned about that. Who cares if we lose everything? The 2013 season had been the worst of his career, and he played through a hip injury, rushing for just half the yards of the previous season. The Ravens didn't make the playoffs, and part of the blame fell on Rice. Some observers were wondering if his days as a Pro Bowler had come to a close. Janae had wanted to spend the holiday together. It's Valentine's Day. We should do something ourselves, she remembered thinking. Instead, he plans a group thing in Atlantic City with his half-brother and his girlfriend and another Baltimore couple. It was an annoyance to me, Janae said. I was a little perturbed, though I didn't communicate that to him. Back to the I again. I was a little perturbed, though I didn't communicate that to him. She says she sat silent during the 3-hour car ride. When they got to Atlantic City, the friends hit the club inside the Revel Casino, the Royal Jelly. They ordered a few bottles of vodka. Rice had been on a cleanse, and a few drinks did him in. They left for the Revel's late-night restaurant, where Rice went to the bathroom and threw up. Back at the table, Rice and Janae bickered, Rice fiddling with his phone. She put her hands in my face, he later told an arbitration panel. Rice got up and left, heading back to the room. I'm in the clear, he later said. He stood by the elevator, texting his friend back at the table. Is everything all right, Janae? He texted his friend back at the table, is everything all right? Janae, though, had followed him. Seeing him on his phone, she went for it. So she goes running up to him to snatch the phone out of his hand. Now, is she treating him like a man, or is she trying to treat him like some child, or worse, like an abused spouse? Because you got that on video, so all right. Rice cursed at her and made a very vulgar comment. She walked by, turned, took a step toward him, and slapped his face. Now, I want to hear who out there is going to condone violence like this. I want to hear the feminists come out here and say, well, it's not violence when the woman slaps somebody. I want you to come out here and defend this now. I want you to say that a person does not have the right to defend themselves. I want to hear the police officers out there who say that you don't have a right to defend yourself because we heard the police say that you can shoot somebody who runs away from you. And we heard you say that George Zimmerman was defending himself after he attacked Trayvon Martin. So I wonder where the police are. I want to hear the law enforcement people. I want to hear them saying that. Or are the rules about to spin on their head? I wonder. I just wonder. She walked by, turned, took a step toward him, and slapped his face. So she doesn't like him being on the phone. Now, this is the kind of woman who will try to tell you that she's just sweet. I was raised by a father. She says that I had two parents. I was raised by a father. I know what a man is supposed to do. Is this what a woman is supposed to do? That you don't like what he did at the table and you're going to slap him because you didn't like it? This is what a woman does? Rice followed her. We were drunk and tired, Janae said later. Rice followed her slowly to the elevator. Rice and Janae had been instructed not to talk to me about what happened inside the elevator, but confidential transcripts for the arbitration hearings tell the story. Janae, now, first of all, they got cameras. What the hell are they talking about? Janae slapped him again. Rice struck her with his open palm. It was a hard blow. She was furious, balled up her fists, and lunged at him. Now, is this the behavior of a young female who was raised by her mother and her father and knows what a father is supposed to do? Does she know what a mother's supposed to do? She balled up her fists. She didn't sit up and say, okay, I tried to hit him. He's pushed me off of him. Let me stop. She says, let me escalate. She was furious, balled up her fist, and lunged at him. Rice hit her on the side of the head with his left hand, and she was knocked backward, banging her head against the rail of the elevator. Ray later said he was stunned by the sound of the impact. The blow looked awful, but what Rice did next was Now listen to this article here. What Rice did next was a different kind of ghastly. That's right. Now, they never talk about cops who shoot black males as ghastly, violent, bizarre, macabre, vicious. You notice they don't use adjectives like that. As a matter of fact, do you all know that most of the newspapers and most of the news agencies are still saying that Michael Slager allegedly shot Walter Scott in the back 8 times? Do you know what they say? That he allegedly shot Scott and that Scott was allegedly walking away, even though we have a video of it. We got video, and you still have these people saying that Slager allegedly shot Walter Scott. But with Ray Rice, do you all see them saying that he allegedly did any of this? And here they come with the verbs and with the adjectives. Ghastly, vicious, horrible, terrible, disturbing, violent. Dragging his unconscious fiancée from the elevator and depositing her in its doorway face down. He didn't comfort her or kneel next to her. Her legs had come apart. He nudged them closed with his foot, then a hand, as if her modesty were an issue. A security guard arrived, bent beside her, and told Rice to move away. Rice paced, looked up at the ceiling. Later he claimed he was terrified and in shock, but he seemed indifferent. Callous, as Goodell later said. Now, y'all notice they didn't talk about Ben Roethlisberger like this. They never talk about white males like this. Black males, they make sure they write a novel. They try to paint a picture that you're vicious and inhuman. That he looked up at the ceiling, but you weren't just looking up at the ceiling. You looked indifferent. Don't you know that they're at war with us? There is a world war at stake to kill us, to destroy us, to dehumanize us, to make it okay to murder us in the streets. You don't believe that? Says on here, in the hall, his first call was to his agent, then his mother. Ma, I made a huge mistake, he told her. I'm probably going to jail tonight. Rice did go to jail, but for just a few hours. A few months later, on May 20th, a judge allowed him to enter a diversion program rather than face prosecution on assault charges. 3 days later, as if to celebrate, the Ravens organized a carefully scripted press conference designed to show support for Rice and allow him to acknowledge how poorly he behaved, apologized for it, and asked for forgiveness, all while Janae was by his side. Now, do you see how the writer of this article, Steve Fishman, is doing this like a novel? He's not just stating the facts. He wants to sit here and help you, force you, make you come to a conclusion that you will not be allowed to simply make up your mind on your own. You're not going to be allowed to do that. He's going to make up your mind for you. The optics were good, but the press conference was a disaster. Who said it was a disaster? You? I guess so. It's your world, so I guess you just get to make this all up as you go along. The Ravens had given Rice talking points, which he scrolled through on his phone as he spoke. He apologized to the NFL and to his fans, but not to his wife, thanking her instead, quote, for loving me where I was weak and building me up where I was strong. Then Janae read a brief statement apologizing for her part in the incident. I do deeply regret the role that I played. The Ravens immediately tweeted her apology, triggering an uproar. Rice had apologized to everyone but the person who most deserved an apology. The team had trotted her out to take the heat off him, even blame herself for the beating. She didn't blame herself. So when she says it, it's blaming herself. When the man who was attacked says it, it's you're not taking responsibility. Don't you all see that this is what they do? This is why we need a black media? Because these people are out to get us. They're out to get us. That's what happens when you do these things. They are out to get us. They're out to get us, people. And I want you to know just how serious this really is. I want you to know just how serious this actually is. Now, that's why I have some females on the phone with us here. I've got you all on the phone because it's important to have some women to speak on this. It's important to have that. And it's important to have your perspective on it. Because here's the problem that I have with this whole thing. Ray Rice was raised by a hood rat mama. Ray Rice is a young man who could have gone off in all kinds of bad directions. He was able to succeed despite his parents. Not because of them, but despite them. Janae Rice was given everything in life. She had 2 parents, upper middle class income. And did that make her a better person? She is a grown-ass, spoiled-ass brat. When you got black women out here talking about what their man won't do for them, that he won't even get up to do anything for them, and yet, here this woman is, she's got a man who does that, and she's saying the exact opposite now. You need to be doing less football and more paying attention to my petty needs. Maybe her father was right. Maybe her father was trying to warn Ray that, you know, my daughter ain't really mature enough to be with nobody because we tried to give her everything she needed and it kind of turned her into a spoiled ass brat. So she really needs to take some lumps and some hard knocks because she don't really need to be with nobody. I think that's probably what her dad was trying to say to Ray on the side. He was trying to say that on the sly. And Ray was so emotionally needy for a female who he thought was different than his mother. And in reality, what he actually found, he found the home life of this woman to be extremely attractive. But the girl herself was not what he actually needed. Because she's broken like his mama, and that's why he's taken her. She is abusive like his mother, and that's why he's with her. She is needy like his mother, and that's why he's with her. She's domineering like his mother, and that's why he's with her. And now she's got a kid, and she's married to this man, and there's really nothing he can do now. Ladies, I got all of you on the line here, and I want to ask you all, what is it that black men are supposed to do when you have a situation like this where a black man is giving her a lifestyle that 99.99999% of black women wish they had, that they wish they had a man who could or would do that, because all we hear about is can't get that pedestal, want to be on that pedestal, nobody is giving them that good look. Well, here this man is doing what he's supposed to do, and she's saying, yeah, I got with you because of that. Now that you're doing it, I want you to stop and focus on me. Will someone please explain to me, what in the hell are black men supposed to do when we keep encountering this?
I really don't have any idea what to say, but that is totally unacceptable, and she is definitely not being. Yep, like you said, I mean, it's basically about her. And I think Ray's, his signal was when he started calling her Dreamkiller, because it went back to the paragraph was when he went with the Rugers, and he was saying that they were like the worst team, but he saw it as an opportunity. And to me, that says that Ray is a go-getter. And, you know, if his parents were together and actually nourishing him, that he could have went, you know, even if his football career didn't go the way that it should have, then he would have made it in the world if he had been given the things that Janae was given, without all the world revolving around her.
And one, she like asked for it anyway. And she said, I knew I had him or something like that. What did she say? Anyway, she said something like that. I knew I had him then when he cried. She knew he was bitch made then and could do anything that she needed to. And that's why you were right, Jason. She had a baby real quick by him, you know, and she knew what she was getting into. And then when it wasn't all that it claimed to be, and it kills me because she could have hired a nanny. She could have dropped the baby off at Jamboree or something. She could have did something.
Well, do you realize, though, that she came from a home with a father and a mother, and yet she had a bastard child?
She did.
Now, all that talk about, I know what a man's supposed to do, I had a father. Okay, then, if you're really telling the truth about that, how in the hell did you end up being a bastard baby maker? But you're sitting up here preaching to us and giving us a sermon about how you know what a man's supposed to do, you had a father, and she goes exactly the opposite of what she claims she was raised with. That right there was a huge red flag.
Well, they went along with it. They were against it at first, but since she got some kind of a job or whatever, or she went to school there, that's still, if I would have been like, no. I said, no, find you an apartment. And like, didn't I tell you she needs to make it on her own? Didn't I already tell you that? Like, why would you condone it then? Money. They knew.
My question is...
Abuse from his wife or girlfriend.
Well, my question for all of you is, what is a black man's incentive to build when that happens? Because clearly, he's a calculating individual. He came from nothing. He made strategic moves to get himself in the best position to get drafted in the NFL, and it worked. It happened. He did it. So clearly, he knows what he's doing. He's trying to go somewhere. He's trying to progress. Where is the incentive for a black man to build when he's got this going on in his own house, by the way? And I think that was another problem they had, is that he wanted her to move in with him. Now, could you all imagine what would have happened if he moved in with her? he got her to move in with him, and that, I think that's where the anger came from. That she realized, well, I'm living with him, so he's a man and he's in charge, and he doesn't need me. Because if it was her place, well, I can pull the strings anytime I want to. Nigga, get out. Well, she couldn't do that with him. And I think that's where the anger came from, is that she wanted to pull his strings, and he didn't. He, at least he was smart enough for that, in that regard. He didn't give her a way to do that.
That's her mind frame. Her mind frame, I think, because they could have built empires. They could have built dynasties if she would have been on her game, building him up. You're right. He already was strategic. He had it in him. That's what we as queens are supposed to do. Speak life into them, not drain it from our men. And that's what she was doing.
Well, he can still build if he dropped her.
Yeah. That's true.
But another point that I want to bring out is she should have known that something was wrong whenever he was running from home, whenever it said that he kept going to different places over and over again, and in order to stay out the house. He was staying out the house because of you.
Okay,
he didn't want to be there with you.
Here's the thing. She did know that's what was going on. Why didn't she try to address the issue? That's the real problem, is that at no time did she actually try to address the issue.
She told him he needed to change more diapers.
And when he didn't go for that and didn't do that, she didn't actually try to just listen. She wasn't interested in what he wanted. It is, I want you to do this. I want you here. You need to be taking care of this. I want you to be paying all your attention to me. You need to be giving more to me, I, me. And I don't care if I burn down everything we have. And I'm just saying, think about the message that sends to black males everywhere. And as black females, I want you to hear that. Think about the message that sends to black males everywhere. What kind of message do you think that sends to black men when you see that, when you hear that, when we can show them Ray Rice and see something like that?
It appears to tell them that they're better off not getting involved. Because I mean, here, like you said, here we have a person, middle class, mother, father, and she's horrible to him. Like, just horrible, and just want him to do more. Well, I guess she wants to just sit around and be pretty princess or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing. How you gonna be pretty princess if he's not able to pay any bills? What she's doing is an impediment to his ability to pay bills. She is in the way of it. And she doesn't have a problem being in the way of it.
But I wonder if he has like talked to her about that. Like, okay, you see this here? I mean, either you want this or you want me to be here. It's your choice. Because I think a lot of times women say they want one thing, and then once they get it, and then they're complaining about it, and it's like, okay, you have to choose. You can't have it all. So I wonder if he like addressed that with her, if he just kind of, because a lot of times guys will just like sit there and listen to you, and then that'll be it. They'll just be like, okay, or whatever.
I mean, but here's the thing though, Steph. Because I want you as black females, I want you all to start recognizing this as well. How can you expect me, as a black man, to go and preach to my brothers about building economic empowerment when they're going to sit up here and they're scared to death and cowardly and talking about, well, money's not everything. And then here comes Janae Rice telling you that money's not everything. Now, how can you get mad at these fellas when they say, I ain't got to build nothing, money's not everything, and you all got Janae Rice telling you money's not everything, you just need to stay at home and change diapers and be Mr. Mom. Even though you're supposed to be the breadwinner, don't know how we gonna do that. Now, why do you all think that was, I'm gonna ask a question like that nobody's asked yet. Do you think that what she did was irrational? Or do you think that what she did was calculating?
Are you talking about the elevator incident?
I'm talking about everything she did. Do you think that this was all unpremeditated? Or do you think that this was all a part of her plan?
And that's a good question.
See, ain't nobody asked that so far. Nobody has asked if it was her plan to say, okay, you gonna play football more than me, I'll take your career from you, and that way, in her sick little mind, she's telling herself, if I take his career from him, then he'll have to just concentrate on me, because I got the baby, and besides, he needs me. Remember what she said about it wasn't anything malicious, but it had to sting.
When you put it like that, TBA, it really upsets me. Like, I'm trying to be calm right now.
I want you all to think about this, Stephanie and Asha. I want you to think if that was your child.
If she was my
If
child.
Ray was my child or Janae?
No, if Ray was your child. Now, if that's your son, and he is trying to do something with himself that 99.99999% of black men do not get the chance to do because we live in an economically oppressive regime, and your son has a chance to create wealth in his lifetime, and then this heifer does something like this, if that was your son, what would you all think?
If that was my son, it wouldn't even got this far. Cause her and her whole little I knew I had him. What? No, ma'am.
But doesn't that tell you how calculating she was? We talk about the white girls who sit up here and, prospect for black men in college sports, but what did she just tell you? What did she just tell you?
She did the exact same thing.
Remember that he said when they were in high school and stuff, she didn't really kind of notice him like that. But once he started hitting it big in football, all of a sudden, she doesn't have a problem doing whatever he says until she got pregnant with the baby. Now it's, okay, I got the baby. Switch up. Now that I've got the baby, now you're going to do what I tell you to.
And then when that didn't work, because he wasn't doing what she thought that would happen when she had the baby. So it makes you think, did she? Because like she just kept at him. And it's funny because when I first heard this incident, I even said, we don't know what she did. She could have hit him. She could have spit on him. She could have did anything. And I always say, and people may not agree with me, but if a woman steps out of her place, I know I would never run up on another man. I would never run up to hit him because he is physiologically stronger than me. I might get my ass whooped. So no, thank you. I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to run up on him and do anything. So once you do that, you step out your place as a woman. So you got the right to get whatever's coming to you because you shouldn't do that. If she would have been thinking, even if she was drunk, let's just wait till we get in the room and let's talk about it then. Why do it with cameras like all of it's calculated? Just like you said.
Now, here's the thing. As a male, I'm not going to just run up on any dude. I don't care who it is. I'm a guy, and I'm not going to just run up on anybody. Would she have done that to Mike Tyson? Would she have done that to one of Ray Rice's teammates? Would she have done that to anybody? What made her feel comfortable enough in its own video? We don't have to guess about it. She spit on him, she slapped him outside the elevator, and then she slapped him again inside the elevator.
Well,
So we're
she
not
already
guessing about it. What made her feel comfortable enough to do that? And I'm telling you that the only way a female, and she did this in public, by the way. I'm telling you that she did that in public because she figured I'll be able to get away with it because he's got more to lose than I do. So I can slap him all I want to. He plays for an NFL team, so he's just got to take it. And as soon as that elevator door closed, he showed her, no, I don't. But I'm telling you that she said to herself, you know what? We're in public, so I'm protected because if you do anything, somebody else is going to run over and stop me. So that gives me license to assault you however I choose. And if you take a look at the events, you can clearly see that's what she was thinking.
She already knew in the beginning because he cried and she knew she had him. She already knew what kind of man he was. She already knew. She already probably knew what he was going to do. She knew where that was going to go. She knew what he had to lose, and she probably wanted him to lose it. But then when she got caught up in it, she thought twice about it. And then she wanted to issue an apology. Makes me mad.
Let me tell you something. If Ray Rice is my son, I would definitely, and he wants to stay with Janae, I would definitely file for custody for my granddaughter. Because with her and that type of behavior, it's no telling what she would do to try to get his attention and to keep his attention to any and everybody. If she does that to her own husband, and once she had that baby and she tried to be more controlling over his life,
I'm telling you that that incident in public was not an anomaly. That this is just the way that Janae Rice gets down. That she's been doing it for a while and he's been taking it for a while. And that's why she felt, she didn't see that as she had a good man. She saw that as, oh good, all these little sick little vicious tendencies I've had since high school, now I can just take it out on you. So I'll be important. Not trying to preserve what we have, but I just have these emotional little vicious little urges I want to indulge. And you're here for the purposes of allowing me to indulge in them. She did that in public, and that tells you what she's been doing in private. You don't just get up one day raising your hand to nobody like that. A woman doesn't just get up one day doing that. And look at the way she talks. I mean, she is just so full of herself. She is just so absolutely bloated with herself that it's hideous. It's hideous to watch it. It's hideous to see it. Absolutely bloated about it. But we're supposed to just accept this and, oh well. We're supposed to just take it and we're done. And I'm telling you all that as a black man, you all don't know how devastating this article is. Because you all know that I've made my life's work to try to spread the message of black economic empowerment, especially among our men. And how is someone supposed to do that when something like this happens? Because they're already out there waiting to say, well, I ain't got to build nothing. And then you have the females coming and saying, yeah, you ain't got to build nothing either. Your time would be better spent fixating on me.
I don't know. I know as a woman, I wonder to myself, like, what did she see from her mother? Like, what did she see from her? How did her mom and dad act in closed doors? You know, because in public, I guess they were like the perfect parents. You know, he was like a father figure to Ray. I really want to know, like, what she saw, because that's not conducive to what she paints the picture as. So, I mean, even what kind of advice? I know you're calling your mom. So what is your mom telling you? Like, is she not telling you to calm down and...
Well, you know what? Her mom probably does something, whereas Janae has probably made her hobby Ray. Like that's her hobby, and she's not, you know, like when Janae's father was telling Ray that she needed to get something about herself, her own whatever. He should have made Janae do something with her life instead of, you know, try to be up under Ray the whole time. Because like I said, Ray was trying to do right. He was, you know, get up in the morning, do football and all this other type stuff. But what was Janae doing? Just sitting there festering and whatever she could concoct in her mind.
I mean, she's there to take care of this child, and she's acting as if she
Now,
has some. She's acting as
she
if
can't
she
even
has.
do that.
Well,
She want him to change more diapers.
Yeah, she's acting as if. But I'm just saying, she's acting as if she has something else to do besides take care of the child. You don't work. What are you complaining about? You don't work.
And then she takes that lightly, because if you were doing your real job as a mother, then you wouldn't have time to worry about that. You know, like there are a lot of, I don't have any children, but I've raised lots, many, from babies on up. And it does take a lot of time as far as those first year and 2 years. Like the first year is really a bonding period between you and your child anyway. You know, and it did baffle my mind when she was like, he's not doing enough. Girl, he's bringing home money. Well, you're able to sit down and be with your child and connect with your child and bond. You don't have to go to work 6 weeks later and put your child in a daycare. You know, her thinking is all just selfish, just like you said.
She is very ungrateful.
Why didn't she want this man to have a lot? Now, you all know, I mean, and Stephanie, especially you being a school a counselor and whatnot, you all know in an abusive relationship, what is the first thing that an abuser attempts to do?
What do you mean, hide the abuse?
In an
Cover
abuse,
that.
in an abuse,
They are very needy and try to dominate and try to keep you under their thumb. They want to know what you're doing at
right? The word for that
all
is
kinds of
the word for that
times.
is isolation. They want to isolate you. They want to separate you from your parents. They want to separate you from your kinfolk. They want to separate you from your friends. They want to get you off by yourself so that they become your world. And I tell you that if you look at her pattern of behavior, that was isolation. She doesn't now she couldn't isolate him because he refused to let her do it, but she tried to use all the emotional nagging that she could to try to emotionally bully him into isolating himself with her. And that is because what was she afraid of?
She was afraid of him leaving. If you got a nickname, the Dreamkiller, and your man is trying to go out there and chase his dreams, then you should be afraid.
Yeah, you have a short span. You definitely do. That's
Your
why she
time
had
about
that
to
baby
be up,
quickly.
boo.
Can we just be
She knew
honest?
it.
Can we just be honest, ladies? As a female, you know when you're with a male and you know when you're deficient.
Yeah,
I mean, you know if he's got better options. You know it.
you do.
You know it. That's why you got to get that baby. And this is a last-ditch effort. Hopefully this will intimidate him. Now, you know, when you're having kids to keep a man, you know you have just hit rock bottom. You've hit rock bottom because that baby's not going to keep him, and you're now just desperate. You're so desperate that you're going to affect other lives. You have hit rock bottom as a human being. But if she's doing those kind of antics, then that was simply a ploy to try to trap this man, and because she was afraid of something.
Which kills me, because the man played with a broken hip or a hurt hip. Like, I just, the sacrifices that he makes, you're supposed to make life easier, not harder.
Have either one of you ever injured a hip before?
No, I haven't.
No.
Have you ever injured a joint, period?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yes.
If you have done that, let me tell you, there's 4 parts of your body in particular that will really, really mess you up. Your back, your knees, your neck, and your hips. And you can talk to any nurse and they'll tell you that. I mean, without your hips, you can't walk. Doesn't matter how strong your legs are. If you got hip problems, you can't walk. You can't walk. Go talk to any senior citizen who's had to have a hip replacement. It ain't fun. And we got people here. This man's having hip injuries, and she's still not letting up. I mean, at what point do you say, "Damn, I just need to stop"?
Yep. And you know, Jason, it had probably gotten to that point, which brings us to this video. He probably was sick of it. Sick of her mouth. Then she was on the cleanse, so that alcohol was hitting him hard. So it's not funny, but I can picture it. I understand.
I really sympathize for him because it's like he's trying to make it work. He's trying to do, he didn't, like you said, he didn't have that role model to show him, and yet he was still trying to do. And it's like nothing I do is appeasing you. And okay, you're my fiance and everything, which she probably nagged him enough until he proposed to her. But I mean, wow.
That's just greedy. That's greedy. Trick, you being greedy. Like, for real. Like, what else? He's promised to you. You're going to marry him. Start thinking about your wedding. Why are you over here bothering this man? Let him work. That's where we get the label of being insatiable. Like, nothing pleases us. We want more. Always. We want more. Okay, you gave me this, and now I want some more. That's not good enough.
Do you understand that when that kind of thing happens, the first thing that a man starts doing is he starts looking at other options? I mean, do you realize that the first time that something like that occurs, what's going to happen is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. He does go looking for others. He does go looking for better alternatives. Now, I've brought on the line here, of course, if we're going to talk about something like this, I've got to get a hold of Mona Lachey. Are you on the line, Mona?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What's on your mind?
I just want to go back for a minute, Jason, when you were saying that she came from a 2-parent household. And first of all, she said she knew what a father was supposed to do or a man was supposed to do. If that is the case, then her father must have been a punk. She must have seen her mother running the yard. Secondly, she did not see leadership positions in that home.
Well, is it that? Or is it that her father gave her everything she wanted and she believed that this man is supposed to just continue that practice of just giving her what she wants? Well, she doesn't want money. She wants emotional pampering. My daddy pampered me. My daddy bought me a car at 16. My daddy sent me to this school. My daddy stayed with my mom on weekends. My daddy.
First of all, something has got to be wrong with you if you would want to marry your daddy. Your daddy has, that's a different role than a boyfriend or a husband. Your father is doing something, because of his paternal right. He is your disciplinary. He's the one that tells you no. He is the one that guides you. So that's kind of, kind of strange to me that anybody would want to say, my daddy. That's a different role. And that's something that she got from her father over time. It could be both of them, Jason, but I would say there was no morals, no values, no convictions taught in that home. There was nothing that she seen. This is what a woman does. This is what a man does. I think she saw her father in a passive role. And secondly, when her father, and this is for the men, when a man tells another man who is dating his daughter, you need to make her do something. He's saying that in a slick kind of way to let you know she might be spoiled. She might be a brat. She might give you some trouble. And Ray didn't catch on to that. Yes, he was focused, he was driven, and she was not his equal. He, as a man, was not dealing with reason. He was dealing with emotions and chose that girl. He may have had her best interest at heart. She never had his best interest at heart. And she could not have seen her father go out there making a living and struggling and working hard and bringing home the bacon and in that leadership role, because she knew nothing about that when she got with a man that exudes that.
That's why I had to wonder, what did she see?
Absolutely.
Agree.
What do you think?
I think it was Asha that said when she calls her mother, what does her mother tell her? Her mother might be, helping her do this.
What do you think her father thought? When her father took a look at that video and saw her acting like that, what do you think he thought of his daughter?
It's Tuesday. It's probably how she always acts.
That's her throwing a tantrum.
Yep.
Because, we heard from a lot of people. We ain't heard from our parents.
Has his mother said anything?
I'm more concerned about her parents. Why is it they haven't been jumping up and saying nothing? And I wonder if it's because they know that how many phone calls has Ray had to make about her? And do we really want to start digging in to her past boyfriends? Don't look for the white media to do that. They're not going to do that. How many news stories have we broken here on the Black Channel? I mean, Marissa Alexander. We shamed CNN, damn it. We took down CNN because they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. So with that being the case, how many other incidents has she had that the national media is not talking about and won't speak about? Because, you all should know, they knew about Tiger Woods for years, by the way. Keith Olbermann said it. Keith Olbermann said it, that we've always known. He said, we've always known about, Tiger Woods and stuff in the New York media. We've always known. We just didn't think it was our place to say anything about it, but we've always known. And I'm like, when Keith said that, I was like, you dirty bastards. Tiger ought to be running around smacking y'all with a golf club. Tiger, they set you up smooth, dude. They knew what you were doing, and they just let it roll and let it roll and let it roll because they knew one day it was going to tumble and it all come down. And they were like, we played the long game, and they just waited until it was an avalanche. How much did they know about Janae Rice before they said anything? How much do they know? But then again, she's not their target. Because you see, she doesn't have any wealth. She doesn't have any power. And she ain't getting none. So taking her down is pointless. There's no reason to take Janae Rice down. She ain't doing nothing and she ain't never gonna do nothing. What's she gonna do? She controls nothing.
She tried to control Ray.
She tried.
She tried.
What threat is Janae Rice to the supremacist establishment? What threat is she? What threat
She's
is she
not
to
a
the white
threat. She's
oligarchy?
accomplice.
Exactly. They use all of us like that. If we don't know how to use them, they use us. They knew. That's why they downplayed it in their article. Ray didn't apologize to her. How do you know? He probably apologized to her 100 times over. You don't know. Did she apologize to him for hitting him twice before he even did anything? That's abuse.
I mean,
So
but
you expect a man. Okay, so if a man hit a woman twice, you expect the woman not to fight back? I'm just saying.
well, I mean, the white media will try to tell you that that's the way it's supposed to be. The white media will tell you that, and then they'll show you police beating the earwax out of black women. Did the white media say that cop beating up that great grandmother on the freeway in California was ghastly? Did you hear them say that? Did you all hear them describe that as ghastly? Did you all hear them describe it as violent? The most they would say was disturbing. They didn't say violent. They didn't say ghastly. They didn't say vicious. Now, when it's a black male, oh, it's all of the above. But when it's a white male, we ain't got really too much to say about that. I mean, it was just a black female. Oh, well. Oh, well. This is a game that we let them play. This is a game that they play, and this is a game that we keep indulging them in. We should not be doing that. We should not be indulging in that. And see, where this strikes me bad, and the reason why I wanted to talk about this tonight was, brothers and sisters, it is so hard, and you've heard it during tonight's phone calls, it is so hard to get a conversation about black economic empowerment started. It's so hard. It's so difficult. Everybody's got a damn excuse for why they ain't got to get up and do nothing. And here's Ray Rice at least trying not to be a statistic. He's trying to be something he wasn't before. This man came from a one-parent home and is trying to make a two-parent home, even though he's never actually experienced one. He's trying to invent the wheel. He's trying to invent the wheel. And here she comes from a two-parent home to say, we don't need no damn wheels. What kind of effect do you think that's going to have on black males? That's the whole reason that I did this tonight. Will someone please explain to me, what effect do you think this is going to have on black males next time you want to talk about black males building something? Next time you want to complain about it and say, why come they're not this? Why come they're not that? Because we just saw an NFL player's wife say we don't need to build nothing. I'd be happier if he didn't. Now, how am I supposed to go out and pressure other black males to do that when you got this woman who sat up here and did that? Tell me, what leverage do I have now?
I believe that the leverage that you have is to tell a man that when he is building something, to guard his assets, to take his time out to see what every woman that he's involving himself with, is going to be in his corner, to ask more questions, to think with his mind and not his lower, part of his body.
Yeah, but if the females are going to come to, if the female comes to him and says, you ain't got to build nothing, money ain't everything. Now what? I'm telling him he needs to build something, but the female comes up to him and says, no, you ain't.
I don't actually think, Jason. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, tell them that most women don't know what they want until, how about this? If you don't build and you stay around her or whatever, then she's going to be complaining that you're a deadbeat bum.
Okay, but the problem is she's not doing it now.
You can either build and have her complaining about you not spending time with her, or you cannot build and you be around her and be under her roof and hear her complain about you not doing anything with your life.
Yeah, but she's not complaining now. So what we're trying to do is convince him that something will happen, not what's happening right in front of him. We're talking about what may happen at some time in the future, not dealing with what's actually sitting in front of him. We're trying to convince him, man, this is gonna be a problem. You know how hard it is to convince somebody that something is going to be a problem? And you have to understand something. Remember that from the story where she said that when he was crying and stuff, that she's like, I knew that I was the one. I knew I had him. I knew I was the one. Well, when a man gets a woman in the bed, guess what? That's what we say. Now I got her. She let me do this. She'll let me do anything. Well, if a man is able to get a woman in the bed and he ain't building nothing, and she says he don't have to build nothing, guess what? He's saying to himself, well, I got her. What more is there? What more do you want her to give me?
And you're absolutely correct. She knew she had the power. And the worst thing a man can do is give a woman power. Once you gave her that power, you can't get that power back. Now you're walking on eggshells. Now you're thinking about what your tone is going to be when you speak to her. This is your dynasty. She's ruling your dynasty. The roles are reversed.
Such is America. That's the problem. Women want to have that role too many times. Like, that's why I'm like, I need a man to lead. I don't want to have the full responsibility. Like, as a woman, I'm glad I'm not supposed to be worried about all those things that a man is supposed to worry about. But women aren't like that.
I think in actuality that she did not mind him building. I think she wanted to be in his presence 24/7. So if he was on the road, then she go on the road. Whatever he was doing, she wanted to be all up in his business. Instead of sitting at home, making a home for him when he came, welcoming him when he came home. And then once she had that baby, that was not in her plans for her to be bogged down. She would have rather take that baby on the road with him. She wanted to be in every part of his life because she's spoiled like that.
I don't think so. I think she wanted to isolate him, and she wanted him at the house. She did not want him, because remember, her initial complaint was, you have too many people over here. So here he is when he's at the house with her. He brings people over there so he doesn't have to leave her presence. Well, you have too many people over here. Well, that's isolation now. So she wants him to be somewhere, but in an environment that she controls. Not that she wants to accompany him. She wants an environment that she controls, and she ain't got nothing. She don't own nothing. Everybody around her has got more power, wealth, and influence than her. The only thing that she does have some control over is that house, or what goes on in that house. So she wants to isolate him on home turf. The only place she actually does have that she does have some semblance of power. I want to isolate him where he is. And do you all know that this kind of drama plays out every single day? Every single day. And you don't have any idea how difficult it is to have this conversation among black males who are already looking for a reason not to do nothing. You don't know how difficult, do you know how much of an uphill fight this kind of incident makes it? Because what's registering the black males is that, well, you need to look for a female. They're going to say to themselves that the way that Ray can protect himself is by getting a female who's not so wanting. And what the average black male will interpret that is, get a female who's not after your money. Because she got the baby, his money is at risk now. Well, the way to fix that is get a female who's not after your money. Not to get a female who is not needy and doesn't obviously have issues. Because understand something, Janae Rice reminds me of his mother. She's a more sophisticated version of his mother, but take a look at all the neuroses. Take a look at all those idiosyncrasies and you'll see them there. Demanding, overbearing, violent temperament, possessive, isolation, the whole 9 yards. Me, I. We talk about the plantation owners. These females are using these black males as bucks. just like the plantation owners did. Welcome to the new plantation. His mother wanted to know what she could get out of him. Go to work so I can get something out of you. Here comes Janae Rice. Go out there and work so I can get something out of you. Now that you're a football player and I can say I'm a baller's wife, now I'm going to go ahead and start getting demanding. Now that I've got the title, as irrational as what she's trying to do is, now that I've got the title, I want to lock you down. Well, you can't lock him down and he retain his title. It doesn't work that way. And I'll tell you all something else. And I will stand by what the hell I'm about to say. If anybody's got any questions about that, I'm going to stand by what I got to say next. I think Janae Rice is the reason this man got injured. Not to say that she injured him.
The stress.
But if this man cannot concentrate on, because he's a young player, he can't concentrate on what the hell he's doing. He's got all this stress weighing down on his damn mind. He can't concentrate on the game. So if his mind is split between what the hell's going to happen when I get off this football field, how is he going to concentrate on this 400-pound linebacker coming at him? How is he going to dodge and bob and weave like he's supposed to? How is he going to do any of that with this weighing on his mind?
I was thinking the exact same thing.
But we don't look at it that way. You know, I refer to it as rubber elephants. And anybody who saw the movie Dumbo, you know what I'm talking about. Where they were like, they wanted to push Dumbo off and let him fall to the ground and stuff. They're like, oh, he's too high up and the net won't catch him. And they were like, don't worry, they're made of rubber. Elephants is made of rubber. They'll bounce. Hey. Too many people treat black males like we're made of rubber. We spent 400 years on plantations with very, very cruel people treating us like we were made of rubber. That no matter what they do to us, that we'll be okay. Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever they do to us, we'll be all right. That we are here to just serve and benefit other people, and we're just a resource to be used. Not that we are here, to contribute to each other. You're just a resource to be used. And don't you understand that makes people super defensive when that happens? Don't you know that one of the major reasons that a lot of these dudes don't want to build nothing is because they don't know who they can trust? So he's waiting to find somebody who he can trust first and then say he can build something. I'm trying to convince him you got it backwards. He needs to go the other way around, but he's worried to death. Hey, I'm trying not to end up like Ray. I'm just trying not to end up like him, if I can. And I want to avoid that. I want to speak against those kind of things. But take a look at how disarmed I am. Take a look at how disarmed we are. Take a look at how much that disarms us to have a situation like that. When we should be able to these are common sense things. These are common sense things. There shouldn't even be any discussion about this. And for you as black females, I want you all to know that please understand. I read this thing tonight because I want black females to understand. Do you know how much harder Janae Rice made it for you all? Her and her kind? Dwight Howard's wife? Do you all know how hard they made that? Because you got a lot of black females out here emulating that behavior. And do you know the next time that you all complain, these fellas just want to lay up on us and do nothing for us because they see that as launching a preemptive strike. Let me make sure that you ain't going to pull a Janae Rice, because if I'm laying up on you and ain't doing nothing, you can't be laying up on me and not doing nothing, so I got you first. We're busy trying to get each other first, and ain't nobody trying to get the money. And the guys are like, hey, I'm in survival mode. I don't need no money. I gotta watch this heifer. I gotta watch her, so we'll worry about building wealth later. I got my eye on her. I don't know what she's gonna try to do, but whatever it is, I'm gonna be ready. So the next time you all meet a guy and he tells you about what he's not gonna do or what he's not doing, and he's sitting there proud, just understand he had a primer. Take a look at Janae Rice and understand he had a primer. He didn't just get up one day saying to himself, okay, I'm just not going to do nothing. This environment that cultivates that, that's something that, especially as black women, you all have got to take that on and nip that in the bud. You have got to do that. Because it's only going to make it harder. Because it's already not enough black men out here who prioritize that. Now you got females. When you see a major figure like this happen, y'all, this is not good. This is not good at all. This is just going to further incentivize people to not do nothing. Or at least it's, paralysis by analysis. They'll be sitting there so long just looking at the situation, wondering what to do, that they end up doing nothing. They just
That's
end up
exactly
sitting
what
there.
happens right now. I'm sorry.
Go on, Asha.
No, I was saying that's exactly what's happening right now. You're preaching to the choir, Jason, because I deal with it every day, daily. And, and at my job, I was telling one of my staff, this guy is 37, I believe. And I was sitting down and talking to him because, of course, I always ask them if they've ever heard of 7 a.m. And I always tell them about it. But I was asking, he was telling me his mom had her own business, and he worked for her a couple of times. And I said, well, did you mess up? And he was like, yeah, it was my fault. I said, yeah, see, you're not doing right. Like, his mom has a business that he can step into. She fires him because she won't let him mess it up, which is good, but he's 37. She has a business. She's telling him to come, and I want you to learn this business, take over it. And he's just like, he's scared. And he was giving me excuse after excuse. And I was giving him solution after solution. Because I told him, I said, I don't do excuses. I do solutions. I come up with solutions. And me as a woman, that's why I said it's hard for me, because I already come up with solutions. I have to. I'm trained because there's no man to do it for me. And you think I like it like that? No. But when it's a problem when the women are coming up with the solutions and the men aren't. But it just baffled my mind because he even said, yeah, I'm scared. I'm afraid too. And I told him, you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to fail. If you fail, then you just pick yourself up. You learn from your mistakes and you pick yourself up. And if your mom's business is not one you want to go into, find you something and build. I said, Black people don't even have that mentality. They don't even think about that. They don't even think about building. And so those are the first things that I ask a man now. My conversations are usually very short, because I ask them, what are you building? And when I'm talking about building, I'm not talking about what are you talking about building? Like, what are your steps to get to the point where you want this? Because that's what I want to see. I want to see action. Because if you could just tell me anything, those times are over.
Now he's stuck with her. It's a very somber broadcast tonight, everybody, but now he's stuck with her. In a vain and futile attempt to save his NFL career, he married her. He is now, no pun intended, hip deep.
So, Jason, can I ask you this? After all that happened, who do you think advised him to marry her,
I
if
I
anybody?
I think that Ray Rice is so emotionally battered. If you take a look at that picture of him in New York Magazine, take a look in his eyes.
Broken man.
I mean, don't you all see? I mean, it's that's what happens when you dehumanize somebody and just turn them into bucks. The only thing they end up really trying to do is please somebody because they just want some peace. They want some peace and they want some acceptance. And at this point in his life, you know, he's got so much emotionally invested in her that, you know, he is unwilling to let it go. He's trying to make this turn out because now she's got a baby and everything. Don't you all see that he's been trying not to recreate his mother's home?
He married somebody like his mother.
He married somebody that on paper was different from his mother.
No, he just attracted his mother.
Yeah. Now, emotionally, that's his mom. But on paper, Janae is different than his mother. On paper. And he is desperately trying to make this work because he does not want to recreate for his child what his mother did with him. So now he didn't back down, he doubled down. That, and he's trying to convince himself that, you know, marrying, I'm sure he told himself in his mind that marrying her would cancel out the incident in the elevator.
You know, I believe as a man, that's something heavy on your heart to try to rectify something that you know you cannot fix. The incident that happened in the elevator, I don't think that was the first time. I think Janae Rice has been like this throughout their whole relationship. And maybe at some point in time, Ray Rice thought that that was cute. And as he started to elevate, she saw herself losing. And whenever a woman says, and this is just my female intuition kicking in, whenever a woman says you have too many people in this house, she knows something. She knows he's not interested in her anymore. And that's when the brattiness really came out. And that's when the desperation really came out. That's when the hit really came out, because now he's ignoring her in his home. You got to bring buddies home when you're supposed to have this beautiful, gorgeous woman. I'm sorry. When you have a gorgeous woman at home and you got to bring the homies home with you, you're trying to avoid her. Not only are you trying to avoid her, you're trying to just try to tolerate her. And it's a bad situation, Jason, when you say he was trying to reverse the cycle. He didn't want his child to be in a single parent house. And that's why it's very important for men to not deal with women on emotions. When you have a lot to lose, you need to ask those pertinent questions. You need to ask those questions. And you need to watch her actions, just like we tell the women. You said she got in the position that 99.99 women would love to be in. And look what she does with it. And you're absolutely correct. But if you remember one of our broadcasts, some of the little dusty men were saying they just wanted somebody to love them. So is that his idea of what love is, for him to be badgered and disrespected and not be the leader of his house and be hit on? Is that his idea of love? And if it is, it's warped. And he got what he asked for. He didn't ask for a woman to respect him, to see him as a leader, to be the mother of his children, to run his household, to hold him down when he wasn't there, to be the better part of him.
In all honesty, though, I mean, considering her pedigree, where she came from, I mean, she did grow up with her father. All those check boxes were actually checked before. That she was not like his mother. She did have her father in her life. He liked her parents. So, and he just, I mean, all the regular check boxes on paper, she seemed to be okay. On paper, she actually did seem to have all those things that that she should have had. But there are characteristics that were missing, because, like, for example, in a situation like that, that's where his mother is supposed to be there to give him the game. And his father's supposed to be there to reinforce that. Well, dad's killed and mom don't give a flying damn. So he's with this female that, on paper, she shouldn't be acting nothing like that. She should not be doing nothing like that on paper. She ought to be basically what he saw in that household when they were talking to him in the first place. It should be the same type of situation. And yet it's not. That's the problem.
Okay, so here's the thing. If Janae Rice is emulating his mother should have kicked in her brattiness and been like, hell no, she's not good enough for my son. Or if she was trying to keep all the mother didn't even do her job. If she was this vindictive mother, she should have been trying to hold on to her, her little fortune.
But what do we see nowadays, especially in the hood rat quarters and the single mother quarters in black society? What do we see? Do these mothers raise their sons to be smart enough to take care of themselves? Or do they try to condition their sons to remain available as a utility and a public resource? Because mom wants to use him as an ATM. And if we start instilling pride and self-respect in him, the ATM will shut off.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. If I was the mother that wanted to use my child as an ATM, Janae Rice got to go.
No, Janae Rice has to stay. No. Janae Rice has to stay. What do you mean Janae has to stay? Because Janae is the one who helps lock in the cycle of it. That's what Janae does. Janae helps lock in this cycle. Because his mom wants him to remain open.
I was wondering earlier that she talked to his mother.
Well, I'm sure they get along like peas in a pod. Her mom, when they ain't throwing bad looks at each other, his mother wants him to remain emotionally dominated. She sees this other female who is keeping him into a position of emotional dominance. The only thing the mother wants to know is she interfering with my access? As long as she does not interfere with her access, she's like, hey, you handling him like you supposed to. Look at how you're dominating him. If his daddy had lived, I would have been able to do the same thing to him.
Okay, I can see that.
This happens a lot. We see this all the time where black males, they get a baby with somebody and his mama is sitting up here plotting against him with the baby mama.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that.
We see that every damn day. The baby, his own mother is sitting up here plotting with the baby mama against him.
Giving her advice on how to get him.
On how to dominate him, how to control him, how to keep him down, how to mess him up and trap him even more. Because she looks at her son and she sees his father. And I wasn't able to dominate his daddy. So I'll dominate you. And now he's not in her house anymore, so she needs a surrogate dominatrix. And that's where Janae comes in. She keeps his self-esteem low. She's constantly battering him. She's constantly demanding of him. She's constantly got him bending over forwards, backwards, and sideways to keep her happy. No matter... And like any abusive relationship, she has to be more unruly. She can't be less unruly. She has to be more unruly to keep him dominated. So she keeps ratcheting up the unruliness to keep him off balance and to keep him desperate to keep her happy. Nothing you ever do is good enough. That's the only way I can keep you under control. So he worked to get away from his mama, and he did that. But now he's got this surrogate one. So he should be able to call his mom for emotional support, and he can't really do nothing but call her and say, well, I guess I'm going to... Okay, that was lightning and that was unreal. It's that time of year again. Okay, let me go ahead and see if I can restart their calls here. This will take just a few moments here. You all probably didn't even hear that. If you did, it wasn't. If you did, it wasn't. If you did, I hope it wasn't too much of an issue there. But yeah, that was really not a. That was really not a good one there. See if I can go ahead and try that again. This will take just a few moments here. We'll go ahead and ring everybody back up. Sorry about that there. It's, oh boy, it started thundering out there. You all didn't hear it, but it hit big, and then I was like, oh boy, here that goes again. But in any case, we got a situation here where this is what's really happening. I did this tonight because I wanted to talk about what's really going on out there. And if you want to know why you have so many males who are coming up to you saying you should take care of them and whatnot, take a look at Ray Rice's story. Is far more typical than we want to give it credit and acknowledge it for being. His story is way more typical. How can you all expect to have men who are going to be your breadwinners when you got when Ray Rice's story is so typical? How does that happen? I wish somebody would acknowledge that.
TBA, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, since we're talking about football players and stuff, I actually had a situation where I was talking with one of my students, and she was in a relationship. He played high school football, of course. And you know, it was like typical high school situation. Her best friend wanted to talk to him. They started talking. She was like she couldn't get over him, XYZ. And then she made the statement that she always wanted to marry a ball player or whatnot. And I'm like, you know, and of course I had like the NCAA statistics as far as how many kids go from high school to college football and then college to pros. And I was like, more than likely that's not going to happen. But after I got finished talking with her, you know, I started reflecting about the conversation and everything. And I was like, the conclusion I came to as far as the ball playing and stuff was that, you know, a lot of times, like what you said, you have to see what the guy's actually doing. Well, if he says he wants to be a pro football player and he's like playing football for the school, then, you know, that could be him like trying to work out his potential. But then it gets where the guys who are studying and stuff gets overlooked. But it's like, well, they're doing the same thing that we're doing as in terms of going to class. So what should I have necessarily said to her in terms of guiding her along, like, you know, do better?
Well, the first thing is, what do you think a football player is going to do for you?
I think a lot of times the females get with like pro ball players and football players for the whole attention factor, which I think is part of the reason why Janae stayed with Ray, because she was like, he was getting all the attention, he was the celebrity, and I was just kind of left out.
But that opens up the conversation there. What do you want to be with a football player for? What place do you have in his life? And then eventually you get back to the attention factor. So eventually you wind up getting there. And that's something important too, because we got folk who are trying to get things that they don't actually really want. She needs counseling. She needs help. She needs a bunch of things. She needs to go talk to her parents and find out why in the hell she's so messed up, and then deal with that.
Well, her parents are part of the reason, I believe. But yeah,
could be too. Well, ladies, I'll let you all have the last word on this. Asha, would you like to go first?
Sure. There's not much to say. We as women have to step it up because it does look bad. And black first.
Steph?
I say, ladies, we got to hold ourselves accountable, and we have to nip this in the bud. Black first.
And Miss Mona?
I would say that while all these ladies that are on social media that are looking for good men, um, and that see we are in a losing situation, whenever we see this going on, we need to ride that. We need to be on those females' behinds. We need to check them. We need to let them know that their behavior is wrong, that their behavior is not only detrimental to themselves, but is detrimental to the Black woman as a whole. Black first.
You get out of it what you put into it. We have too many mixed signals going on. We have too many people out here contradicting everything we're trying to do. You cannot say that you want a man who builds, and then you've got people out here getting in the way of that. Because this serves as an example to the rest of the society, and the rest of the society is being misled by it. Other people are emulating Janae Rice, and then you got black males emulating Ray Rice, and it's messed up. A black man who's building, and take a look what happened. He's not cheating on you. He's not beating on you. He's not doing drugs. He's not a drunk. He's not doing none of that. He is doing what a man's supposed to be doing, and you're not happy with that. Why are we not doing more to defend against this? Code of conduct, code of conduct, code of conduct. And this concludes tonight's Black Channel TBA After Hours. I want to thank Asha, Kim, Stephanie, and Mona for joining me here tonight. And until next time, brothers and sisters from around the world, remember that black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.